graduate, Mr. Yoder attended James Madison University for his master's degree in secondary education. He taught for 1 year in Clovis, New Mexico, before returning to Rockingham County, where he taught for 10.5 years, including 6.5 teaching biology and anatomy at Broadway High School. He has taught over 50% of this year's graduating class. Mr. Yoder is currently working as the Director of Retention at Eastern Mennonite University. In his spare time, Mr. Yoder enjoys playing basketball, spending time at the beach and mountains, and spending time with his family. He is married to Abby Leak, daughter of former Broadway High School teacher Gary Leak. They have 2 children, Tristan and Ella, known to the LCHR's waitstaff by name. Exactly 17 years ago, on his 18th birthday, June 7th, 1997, Mr. Yoder was in the last class to graduate from the old Broadway High School, which is now J. Frank Hilliard Middle School. Please welcome Mr. Zachary Yoder.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I have to get my Gatorade so I don't cramp up like LeBron during this speech. Thank you so much, Tyler, for that wonderful introduction. Let me get this up so I'm not bending over. Mr. Huber, Mr. Good, Mrs. Sims, Mrs. Martin, Dr. Finn, faculty at BHS, parents, grandparents, other family members, my beautiful wife, Abby, the 4 people who actually came to hear me talk, and most importantly, good afternoon, you guys, the 236-ish graduates of the 2014 class of Broadway High School. It is an honor and a privilege to be here today with you as your commencement speaker. If I would have known there were going to be 7 valedictorians, I wouldn't have made my speech an hour long, so you're going to have to bear with me a little bit. When I got the invitation to be your speaker, I have to admit I was a little bit nervous about accepting. What was I going to say to this wonderful group of young people as you conclude your 13 years at a school, or at Broadway High School? What could I say that would make a lasting impression on your lives? A message that would inspire you to go out into the big bad world and help out your fellow men and women and solve all the problems of our world. So I did what any slightly anxious and nervous speechwriter would do. I typed the word commencement speeches into the Google machine. I pressed return, and in 0.017 seconds, I got 40,300,000 links. So without thinking, and of course trusting Google, because the first link is always listed first, I clicked on that. It took me to a website that listed the 300 best commencement speeches ever, speeches that dated back to 1775. Were we even a country then? But anyway, included were speeches by John F. Kennedy, Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, President Obama. I spent a few minutes on that site and quickly realized that not only were most of them directed towards Ivy League college graduates, but they all just felt really impersonal. So I decided to change my search method. I used the second most important website of all time, YouTube. This time my search for commencement speeches only produced 1 million hits, so I thought, okay, I can handle this. I clicked on the first speech by Conan O'Brien, the late night talk show host, one of the funniest men alive, and quickly realized I had no chance to ever be that funny. The second speech was by United States Navy Admiral William McRaven, who is credited with organizing the special operations raid that led to the death of Osama bin Laden in 2011. I have broken up a fight or two in the halls of Broadway High School, but I didn't quite compare to the distinction of this man. The third speech was by Puff Daddy. You know, Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Puffy, Diddy. I don't know what he calls himself this week. And even though, I don't know if any of you remember your 6th grade year, but I did do a Napoleon Dynamite dance at some type of fundraiser. It was pretty much a disaster, but I also felt like I couldn't quite compare to the richest and arguably most influential hip-hop personality of all time in Puff Daddy. Now I could keep going and going and going, famous person after famous person, but I think you get the point. So after 2 attempts to use the internet, I'd become even more nervous and felt even worse about my speech possibilities. So I decided to switch gears and ask some of my friends and family about speeches that had inspired them. My wife didn't even remember who spoke at any of her 3 graduations. Mr. Yates Hall said the only times he remembers the speech was at his college graduation when the speaker decided to play guitar and wrote some little jingle and personalized song about UVA. If you've ever heard me sing, you know that's not even an option. So if I was a little nervous before I was asked to speak, now I was just feeling pretty helpless. What was I going to say to you that could possibly compare to any of these famous and important speeches? Here I am, the Director of Retention at Eastern Mennonite University. What is that anyway? I wish I had $1 for every time I had to explain to somebody what the Director of Retention does. But regardless of my humble occupation or minor personal accomplishments, and regardless of how this speech will never be a top 300 graduation speech of all time, I kept hearing a tiny little voice in the back of my head that just kept saying, be yourself. This group asked you to speak for a reason. So I finally stopped looking online. I stopped trying to come up with a speech that would go viral and get 2 million hits on YouTube, and decided to just be myself and speak to you guys, the 236 graduates that are sitting here in front of me. So I asked myself, how could I be myself? Well, to start, let's be honest. As many of you know, I'm not the kind of guy to get dressed up. The happiest day of my life was a few years ago when Dr. Fenn, thank you by the way, and RCPS finally stopped requiring male teachers to wear ties. So after thinking about what I should wear and coming to the conclusion that my wife will probably never forgive me for embarrassing her, I decided I should wear something that represents not only you guys, but who I am. As many of you know, I lived for Spirit Week at BHS, and I am the unofficial winner of Teacher Spirit Dress-Up Award for the past 5 years in a row. What better way could I get my point across to be yourselves than to just be myself? So give me a second, please. I feel much better. Now I can relax and get to my hour speech. Graduates, my message to you today is just to be yourself. The world and your hopes and dreams is in the palm of your hands. Figuratively, you guys can do anything in life that you want to. You can live the American dream with a little hard work and determination. But the world is also in the palm of your hands, literally. On your phones, green for Broadway, just got it. It's seemingly the whole world. On this incredible machine, there's Google Maps, where you can look up any place on the planet, and more often than not, get the street view of your location, as scary as that is. You can Skype with someone around the world and see their face while you chat with them. You can break up with your girlfriend over text without even having to talk to her. Or classier yet, you can break up over Twitter so that not only she'll know, but the other 1,234 of your followers will know. You can deposit checks using your phone. You can buy the latest pair of cool shoes off Amazon. You can look up the weather, check your email, read the newspaper, use the flashlight app in case it's dark outside, use the white noise app to help you sleep at night. You have a calculator, a calendar, a timer, a notepad, thousands of little apps to make your life better. You can play games, including this year's favorite, Candy Crush Saga. Thank you, Lindsay Simmers, for beating level 25 for me finally during class one day. I'm still on level 26, so I might need to see you after graduation. You can read the Bible. You can listen to music, including apps like Pandora and Spotify that create personalized playlists. Seemingly, there is nothing in the world you can't do from the palm of your hands, including recording voice memo ideas in case you ever give a speech one day. The fact is, so much of your life is on your phone. Just this past year, in 2013, according to the Oxford Dictionary, The word of the year was directly related to your phone. Anybody know what the word of the year is? That's right, it's selfie. Now, many of you older people out there are probably rolling your eyes, thinking about how narcissistic the young people have gotten today. But believe me, this word, selfie, was way better than some of the other choices. Some of the other choices were humble brag, where people use Twitter or some other social media site to try to be humble while also bragging about themselves, such as, "I'm so thankful for my millions of fans out there. Hashtag so blessed." Another choice was nom, as in, "Man, that bowl of ice cream was good. Nom nom." My personal favorite, the word underbutt. If you've ever seen someone with shorts that are just way too short, you'll know what this word means. So I guess selfie wasn't such a bad choice after all. So now my message of being yourself and the word selfie kind of tie in rather nicely. Now, I'm not encouraging each of you to walk across the stage and take a selfie or to take more selfies as you go out into the world. Believe me, I've seen enough of them in the past year to last a lifetime. Hashtag duck face. But I guess what I want to do in this speech, as I bring it to a close, is to simply leave you graduates with a big thank you for being yourselves, and in doing so, providing an inspiration to me. It's always thought that teachers have an impact on the lives of their students, and undoubtedly many of the wonderful people sitting on both sides of you have helped shape you into the people you are today. Even when we unfairly took your cell phones from you in class when you were simply trying to send your mother the super important message, or how we required you to write an exam, a senior exam on Hamlet, I know that many of you, I know that we taught you many life lessons that will come back to help you in the next 5, 10, or 25 years. But rarely do teachers acknowledge that their students have made an impact on our lives. So I'm here to say thanks. Thank you for being yourselves. Thank you, Nate Brady. Where are you out there? You probably haven't thought about it since, but back a few weeks ago, you were working the late shift at Food Line. And I came in after a church league basketball game, all out of breath, barely walking. I'd probably just been ejected for arguing calls. You looked straight at me in the eye and said in your slow, laid-back voice, "What's up, Mr. Yoder? Dude, why is your face so red?" So thanks for keeping it real. After I went back in the back and got 2 big bags of M&Ms for my wife's science class experiment, I came back through your line. I noticed the bright green bracelet around your wrist. I hope you didn't notice the proud look on my face when you mentioned something about it. But that hashtag Yoha bracelet I gave you over a year ago, I know you probably didn't even think about anything about it when you put it on that day before work. And you had no idea I was going to come into your store that day, about 2 minutes before you closed the doors. But I'll never forget that moment. So thank you for being yourself and making me feel important. Thank you, Samantha Dove, wherever you are out there, for writing me a thank you letter a few weeks ago. I'm sorry I was only able to teach you for a semester. I'm sorry I wasn't able to support you when your house caught fire this spring. I didn't know about it until after it happened. Thank you for inspiring me with your kindness and gentleness. I've never seen you complain or upset. You've missed countless days of school, helping your relatives take care of themselves, watching your younger siblings, dealing with personal health concerns. But whenever you were in my class, you never once complained about any of that. You never used those absences as an excuse. You never asked for pity. You simply smiled and did the best you could. I hope when my daughter Ella, who is turning 5 at the end of the month, grows up, she has a spirit and a heart like yours. Because if she does, I will have done my job as a parent, to raise a humble and grateful young woman. So thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Samantha, for inspiring me. I could go on and on about the times you guys have inspired me or made me laugh, but I'm already close to my time limit. Chloe Schrock, thanks for the time you walked into my class towards the end of last year and said, "Mr. Yoder, your head looks smaller." I guess that was a compliment. I laugh whenever I think about this. Thanks to Abel Uribe for calling me one evening to talk about life and some of the struggles you were going through. Even though I didn't have an answer for you, it made me feel valuable that you thought about me when you needed someone to talk to. Chase your dreams, brother. You can do anything you want in life. Don't take no for an answer. Thank you, Quintus Mills, Tyler Yost, and John Michael Montgomery, Richard Alexander McDonald, for making me laugh every morning until us grumpy teachers complained that it took too much of our precious instructional time. I always looked forward to starting off my days with you guys. Man, it was a letdown when some freshmen were doing announcements instead of you guys. You guys made me laugh every morning. Thank you. Thank you, Joy Showalter, for helping deliver my nephew Oliver 2.5 years ago during your first night of job shadowing in the labor and delivery wing of the hospital. My sister-in-law still talks about how calm and composed you were and how impressed she was by you. You're going to be the best nurse ever one day. I could probably give a specific story of almost all of you, even those of you who I never actually had in class, like Felicia Hall, who along with Brooke Good gave me my favorite t-shirt of all time. It says #YoHob on it. But I'm going to leave you with one more example for the sake of time. Before I left at the end of the first semester in January, I received an email from one of you sitting out there that I've probably read 100 times. These words still speak to me and inspire me today. Here it goes. This morning, I anticipated a normal first period class in anatomy, nothing different than the usual. Towards the end of class, Mr. Yoder sat down in the front of the classroom and told us to pay attention. Something we're supposed to do in school anyway, right? Several people were still goofing around on their phones or talking to their friends beside them until we realized Mr. Yoder seemed pretty serious. He announced he was leaving after the first semester to go to Eastern Mennonite University. An incredible opportunity for him. As upsetting as the news was to hear, to me and everyone else, it made me think a lot. Just the day before, I was complaining to Mr. Yoder about an anatomy test I had to take and how much I didn't want to do it. In fact, I think I was begging not to take it. Now that I think about it, I whine quite often about the work I had to do in school, just like pretty much every other student. Every day, I take for granted the education I receive and the lessons I learn from being in a classroom. I know it sounds cliche, but we should be extremely thankful for the opportunity we have to learn. All of this wouldn't be possible without teachers and their extreme dedication to trying to make students' futures brighter. Over the years, I have had teachers I absolutely couldn't stand and teachers I loved. The teachers I loved simply made a difference in my life, and I think that's our ultimate goal. Years from now, we might pass one of our old teachers on the street. Will we remember the grade we made in their class? Maybe. But I think what I'll remember most is the wisdom they gave me, because that's something unforgettable. So as upset as I was to hear one of my favorite teachers ever was leaving this morning, I can remember the important life lessons he taught me, even though they're most likely life lessons and nothing to actually do with anatomy. Mr. Yoder mentioned how we need to take chances in life sometimes, even if they're hard and involve risks. Bigger and better things might involve leaving already great things behind. But we'll never know unless we follow our dreams and take the time to listen to the adults in our lives who want us to succeed. So thank you for those words, Maddie White. I keep that email folded up in my wallet. I'll probably keep it there until it falls apart, and then I'll print out another copy, just because I love to read it so much. One more thing, Maddie. Don't forget your ulna is in your arm, not your leg. So as you go into the next chapter of your lives, graduates, be yourself. Follow your dreams. Take risks. Wear your granddad's clothes. You'll still look incredible. Lord knows wearing this outfit was a risk that probably will be mocked on Twitter for the next few days, but eventually it'll be forgotten, just like the words I've spoken for the past 15 minutes or so. Just like Maddie said, don't be scared to leave already great things behind in search of something that could be bigger and better. I'll always cherish the friendships that I've made at BHS, and especially the students that I taught. You guys will always have a huge part in my life and will continue to inspire me throughout the rest of my life. Thank you again, BHS class of 2014. It's been an honor. Now I guess there's only one last thing for me to do today. Love you guys.